You will never convince me that this is a good ad. People don't give a fuck. Their wallets are screaming, dude. Okay? You're so stupid. You in the Republican Party are so stupid. What a ginormous waste of money they are literally throwing. It is hilarious. It is a throw off, okay? Both sides are desperately swinging for the unimaginable. The worst election that you could hold. The worst campaign. It's crazy.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender.
Dude, I love these ads so much. It's just such a waste of money. Like, you will never convince me that this is a good ad, okay? People are like, I don't give a shit, dude. Shut the up. Clearly, people in the margins will want to know whether Kamala will trans the prisoners. It's like, instead of like hyper-focusing her campaign initiatives to like a very specific subset of the American population, if Kamala Harris started criticizing Trump on that same exact front, it's like, it's so dumb. Kamala Harris wants to do bottom surgery on inmate transgender undocumented migrants. Please vote for us is hilarious. Your number one issue is the economy. Your number two issue is immigration. And you're literally you're spending tens of millions of dollars on this idiotic nonsense that no one cares about. Not a single person has brought up trans issues. I'm almost certain that they didn't even fucking test this out. Like, they must not have even focus tested this, and they just kind of ran with it because they were like, it sounds good.
Inmate in the prison system would have access.
Hell no, I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to that.
Kamala supports transgender sex changes in jail with our money.
Kamala even supports letting biological men compete against our girls in their sports. Kamala is for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Yeah. Good stuff. Most Americans are just like, I don't care. Fuck you for telling me. That is what it is. That is the majority position. I don't care about it. Also, they are literally being discriminated against. And also, they shouldn't participate in women's sports. That's it. Those are like, in terms of the trans issues, those are the four most common things that you hear from normal Americans, okay? So when you get into the fucking weeds of this shit, they're like, yeah, I don't care. Like, why are you telling me this? Why are you telling me this shit? Now, the reason why the polls have tightened over the course of the last month is because, and I'm repeating this statement that I made in the Discord, Kamala Harris turns out going on national television and talking about how much she is exactly like Joe Biden was literally more effective in galvanizing the pro-Trump base and getting undecideds to go for Trump. Kamala Harris goes on television and is like, I love Joe Biden. I am Joe Biden. I'm Joe Biden, but like even more annoying. Okay. At least I don't even have the quirky moments where like Joe Biden says, listen, fat. And Americans were like, oh my God, this sucks so bad. Oh, it's awesome. It's hilarious. And they have not stopped. And now they're like, well, it's sunk costs. We've already leaned in this direction too much. We might as well keep going. It is, after all, a truncated campaign.
Anthony, the polling shows already close race has tightened further. Why is that?
Let me start by reminding people just how tight this is. When you look at our estimates across each and every one of the battleground states, one after another is effectively even. So it's a race that either candidate can and may win. But one reason I think this week was highlighted is that you see how differently these candidates and their supporters define what is, not just what ought to be going forward. Let me show you a couple of different examples. Start with the debate over hurricane relief. Trump supporters say that they believe hurricane relief is not going to people impacted by the hurricane. In fact, they accept the claim that FEMA money was diverted to people in the country illegally. And Harris voters say speed of FEMA was just about right and that aid is going to people impacted. But that's just one example. Take another, the economy. Harris voters say that the economy is largely good. They say, or are more likely to say, that the stock market is up this year, that the U.S. has been adding jobs. Trump voters much less likely to say those things. And one more example, the border. Harris voters say that crossings of the border, the U.S.-Mexico border, are down. Trump voters say that crossings are.
I don't like this false presentation because the ultimate argument here is that Trump voters are hallucinating an alternative reality, which is true. They literally are. The issue, on the other hand, is that the real takeaway from this is that the Democratic Party has a real messaging problem. They have a real credibility problem, and they have a more significant messaging problem. Part of that is coming from the capitulation to the right. When you literally frame everything from their perspective and you try to dance around in their waters, you're going to lose. You're going to fucking drown. And that's precisely what's going on here. Okay? You should have a long time ago been like, these motherfuckers are hallucinating. They are not real. They are making shit up. We are going to use real data. Look at what's going on. And then we're going to pummel you in the fucking head with emotional anecdotes about undocumented migrants who happen to be your fucking neighbors, who are taking care of their children, who are working 3-4 jobs, okay, to make ends meet, who literally deserve a pathway to citizenship. For every single one of the undocumented crimes, all 24 of the homicides that the undocumented people have committed on U.S. soil in this fiscal year, there are a million versions of your neighbors that are coexisting with you peacefully, and Trump wants to fucking rip them away. Why can't the Democratic Party use anecdotes in the same way to communicate the actual reality of the matter? Are they woefully incompetent? Are they incapable? Are they oblivious to the reality? No, it's because they want to fucking lose, and they possibly recognize that immigration is going to become an even larger problem down the line as climate migrants, climate refugees start coming over the border. You can't let the Republicans capture that fucking territory entirely. That's it. Not realizing that you will never be able to capture that space, and you should be fighting desperately, tooth and nail, against the Republican priming against migrants.
Up. So what that does is it all underpins this idea. It's not just competing ideologies going forward. It's different views of what is right now in the country.
There's no agreed upon set of facts. So,
yeah, exactly.
On things that are measurable, arguably. So if they get their information differently, who do these individuals trust to provide it to them?
We started by asking people how much they use social media. And both camps, both Trump and Harris voters, do use it. They don't necessarily trust everything they see on it. But one thing they say is that they feel social media makes it easier for them to find people that they agree with. And that's a reminder to everyone when we look at the role of information.
This is the reason why so many motherfuckers hate my coverage over the course of this election, because I keep telling them that, like, the Democrats are sucking, and they get really bent. They get really frustrated. They get really butthurt when they hear that, because they're like, come on, man, just tell me it's fucking all right. Tell me how bad the Republicans are. Please, just shut the fuck up about the Democrats. And unfortunately, I can't shut the fuck up about the Democrats. And like, I don't know if you noticed this, but like, I rarely even fucking talk about how much the Democrats suck when it comes to Gaza. I keep that as a separate criticism. Okay. Whenever I'm talking about the Democratic Party's performance in the upcoming election, of course, I give adequate amount of coverage to Gaza in that context as well. But obviously, there are still far greater problems in terms of the campaigning that the Democrats are implementing. And yet people still don't want to hear it. I have a couple low propensity voters in my orbit that talk about how much they love Donald Trump. And I poll them with regular frequency. It's totally anecdotal, and it's, far from the most consequential way of doing this. I like seeing what they have to say and the likelihood that they will go out and vote. The mid propensity voter will be voting for Donald Trump. The low propensity voter that has never voted, the mid propensity voter has voted in the past for Donald Trump in 2016, didn't vote in 2020. Okay. The low propensity voter has never voted. He is even more conspiratorial than the mid propensity voter. He is not voting. The moment that he tells me he's voting, it's over. Donald Trump is definitely winning. Right now, Donald Trump may be winning. All I'm saying is, if you're a fucking Trump supporter who believes in conspiracy theories and like kind of is captivated by Trumpian rhetoric, Trumpian sentiment, okay, and you are going out of your way to fucking vote for Donald Trump in California. No, they're not in a swing state. They're in California. Okay. That means that there are a lot of fucking mid propensity voters that are doing the same in swing states. That's the way I look at it.
information, it's not just that people are maybe getting right or wrong things or are steered in a different direction. It's that sometimes they very affirmatively go out and look for things that reinforce existing beliefs. The other part is look at sources of information. For Trump voters, Donald Trump is a trusted source of information, as much as their family and friends, and more than a lot of, let's call them experts.
Wait, what? Feel what tells you is true Trump voters? Top answer is Donald Trump. Friends and family, conservative media figures, religious
as
leaders.
much as their family and friends, and more than a lot of, let's call them experts. But they're not as trusting across the board of all those things. Whereas Harris voters also trust.
Lame medical scientists. Boo. They trust Joe Biden. By the way, this is also just as fucking delusional. Make no mistake. Liberals like to put themselves up on this pedestal of like moral integrity and also intellectual pursuit. And it's like, you just said Joe Biden, like you trust Joe Biden. Joe Biden is not to be trusted with his bowel movements. Like Joe Biden's immediate family members don't trust him with driving a car. And you're over here being like, well, I trust that fucking 800-year-old little demon who has told me time and time again, he's working tirelessly around a ceasefire, Jack. We beat Medicare. I trust him.